morning, good afternoon, good evening, or so I'm going to be ready. This is Eagle Eyes on Tech. I am Eagle Falcon. Joining you today, as usual, Mr. Regret the Van. How are you doing today?
Tired.
Have you tried?
I got run over by a wheel.
Have you tried not being run over by a wheel?
I tried that. It didn't work.
I highly recommend trying harder next time. Getting run over by anything is just usually, it's not healthy for anyone. Kind of like...
Normally, no.
Kind of like with what happened at E3. I mean, this year's E3 was just...
sad.
Is it just me, or, like, nothing happened?
Pretty much. Nothing happened.
We'll talk more about that in a bit, but first I want to talk about Amazon buying out a grocery store. Which, if you've been keeping tabs on Amazon and their Amazon Pantry program, Amazon buying a grocery line should surprise no one. All right, that's pretty normal. You would have expected them to go after a Kroger or a Roundy's, which was bought by Kroger, or a Myers, or someone like that. A main chain grocery store, to then beef up their pantry program, and then also kind of embed it in those brick and mortar stores. I don't think anyone expected the grocery store they bought to be Whole Foods. Whole Foods!
Well, here's my comment on that. Amazon wants your wallet. Do you know what Whole Foods is known for? Its nickname? Whole paycheck.
But I can't... look, here's the thing. If I already give Whole Foods 100% of my paycheck, how am I going to give that additional 10% for the delivery driver to deliver it?
It's already factored in.
I can't... No, it's not. It's not, because 100% is already what Whole Foods does.
Well, then I guess you're going to have to figure out how to come up with that extra 10%.
I can't give 110% of my paycheck.
I would recommend searching into less than legal means.
I would not recommend that. Although, more on the serious side. Honestly, the whole ordering groceries online has been a whole thing that's been kind of lost on me. And I'm like the techiest tech nerd that could ever tech it up in the tech world. Well, maybe not the techiest.
You haven't quite bought that $1,000 Core i9 yet.
I said I'm the techiest, not the richest. It's hard for me to buy a $2,000 processor. Though I am the guy to go ahead and say, hey, this computer has 2 CPUs. I can make a gaming rig out of that. I am that degree.
So did I.
I am that degree of tech nerd. But here's the thing. I've tried this before with another grocery store line that's here in the Midwest called not Whole Foods, Woodman's. They had a system where you could go through an app, do your shopping online, and then just drive by and pick it up. Going through that thing, it took me 3 hours to navigate through the various lists before I just gave up and said, screw it, I'll just go do the grocery shopping. It only takes me an hour. It was more of a hassle to do it online. And that's been the experience I've had with a lot of these things. And I haven't tried Amazon's yet.
I haven't even bothered with online shopping since the point for me to go to a grocery store was to look at the cuts of meat, look at the vegetables that I wanted to purchase. The computer isn't going to tell me, well, hey, I'm getting a cut of meat that has more fat in it than I want. Or this whatever vegetable isn't as good.
It all depends on who does it. Like, the Woodman's one, you could select that fat grade. The problem is then it then floods the list. You're looking through 100 different items to get the exact one you want, and it just becomes a mess. Now, in fairness, I have not looked at Amazon's Pantry one. I meant to do that this morning, but unfortunately I was too busy doing research regarding Project Scorpio. So maybe Amazon will figure out a way to do it right. And I know there's been services like Podbean for the longest time. Maybe they have a way that it works out fine. And maybe this marriage between Amazon Pantry and Whole Foods ends up being the next best thing since sliced bread. The one thing that, I mean, because this was tech news that was so big that everyone was talking about it yesterday. Regardless of whether they were newscasters in the tech field, sportscasters, or whoever. Everyone was talking about this. And
it was all over Reddit.
The one thing everyone asked was, is the name Whole Foods going to be around? And that's one thing Amazon didn't say. I'm going to give you a spoiler. Yes, the name Whole Foods is going to be around. Because
Amazon would have no reason to change it, as Whole Foods itself is the brand of the store.
Exactly.
Like, you might see them on, like, a brand new flagship store append Amazon's possessive Whole Foods. But even then, I doubt that.
Watch. The sole purpose of this is just to have Whole Foods generate money for Amazon to subsidize some of their other El Cheapo's side projects, like everything with the word fire in it.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be something like that simple. They don't do anything with Whole Foods. They don't even have it beef up Amazon Pantry. And like the only other reason they do it is just to put like those Amazon storage kiosks. And that's it. Literally have this entire thing that everyone assumes is going to be this big deal and have it do nothing.
It's absolutely nothing!
It's possible. But I all joking aside though, I seriously doubt it. I think it is going to be something big. Unjust Banana in the chat asks if Apple bought Whole Foods. That would actually be more puzzling to me.
That would be an extremely puzzling move on Apple's part.
I don't even know why. It's like, what would Apple's purpose be? Unjust
trying to get trying to get more of the sheeples.
Unjust Banana's next comment was, yes, Apple invented food. I knew it! This whole time, we thought ancient humans who invented farming invented food. Nope, it was Apple all along.
It was Apple all along. That's what the sheeples would think if Apple bought Whole Foods.
Yeah, let's get off the Apple sheeple for a minute, and let's talk about the console fans for a minute. And how Project Scorpio now has a name. It is finally confirmed, everyone. Project Scorpio has a real name. Now, what amazing name could possibly replace Project Scorpio? We wondered this back, what was it, like 4 or 5 years ago with Project Natal? What could replace Project Natal? Back then, we were incredibly disappointed when we heard Kinect. And now with Project Scorpio, they do the genius move of calling Project Scorpio the Xbox One X.
That is way more entertaining for just the silliness of it.
Here's actually the thing that surprised me a little bit more about it. The Xbox One X is thinner than the Xbox One S.
Huh.
The S is supposed to be the slimmer console, and the X is thinner. So anyway, let's actually go over the details real quick, because there was literally, not figuratively, a ton of details that were dropped about the Xbox One X. The CPU is a 2.3 GHz 8-core AMD processor. The GPU clocks in at 6 teraflops. There is a total, this is the key here, a total of 12 gigabytes of GDDR5 RAM. This is shared between the GPU and the system. That's an important detail to keep in mind. It is shared RAM. It is not 12 gigabytes of only RAM for the GPU. It is not 12 gigs for the system. It is shared. The memory bandwidth is a huge number that is literally meaningless. Spoilers. It does... I mean, look, I'm sorry, but saying that, hey, look, our memory bandwidth is 326 gigabytes per second...
is meaningless.
Yeah. It's like, they tout out that it's 50% more than the PS4 Pro. Guess what? The PS4 Pro's 218 gigabytes per second is also literally meaningless.
Yep.
It's basically like, guess what? I can travel at 10 times the speed of light. Oh yeah? Well, I can travel 15. Who cares? You're both teleporting.
Pretty much. And also, I'm going to throw out that it's not the hardware that matters. After all, Nintendo demonstrated that, no, it's the games that sell.
It is.
The games sell hardware.
The thing is, though, is that although we are in a console world where... We're technically in a gaming world where there are 4 consoles. 5, actually. There's the Xbox world, the PlayStation world, Nintendo's world, mobile's world, and PC's world. Okay.
Yeah, I'll buy the 5 then.
PC does whatever it wants. It almost, for the most part, unless you're me, ignores the consoles.
Yeah, you went and sullied yourself. You're no longer pure PC.
I've never
For
been pure,
shame.
I've never been pure PC. I have always been.
Neither have I, so I'm just giving
I have always
I'm just giving you a hard time.
I've always been a twit. Mobile is satisfied playing Clash of Clans forever and thinking that it's the best thing ever, while the rest of the gaming universe goes, oh my god, that is cancer.
Pretty much.
Nintendo is 100% focused on their games, their IP, their form of entertainment.
Yep.
They have their own way of doing things, and they love it.
And
there are 2 platforms within Nintendo, but they both focus on the games. The only platforms in this gaming world that care about the horsepower that they can do is the Xbox and the PlayStation worlds. They are constantly butting up against each other to see who is better, because those 2 are the closest to each other. Now, there might be some PC guys who go, oh, I can do 5K on mine. Oh, I got... Who cares? You're in your own world. Go do you. The console guys are still going to go, but I don't want to spend $2,000 on a rig. And I can respect that. It's expensive, but at the same time, you get what you pay for. A $2,000 rig is going to perform like nobody's business, and it's going to be beautiful. So that's why the Xbox One and the PS4 are like butting heads against their specs. But let's be real honest, it almost doesn't matter.
Pretty much. At the end of the day, is what games are available on the respective systems that I would want to play.
And I want to actually go over one detail that Microsoft talked about in their press conference. And that was the fact that the Xbox One is a great deal at $499. That's a great deal for the hardware.
Yes, that is an extremely good deal for the hardware.
So, right off the
So let me
bat.
guess, you wanted to go try and buid a computer that could compete against it at the power and price point.
Oh, you know me too well.
And let me guess, you had a real hard time doing it.
I had a real hard time doing it for one primary reason. The PS4 Pro, do you know where its bottleneck is? I'll save you the trouble. The bottleneck is the CPU.
Yeah, I think you said it one of the last few times. It was using a mobile version of the processor rather than the full desktop version.
The AMD Jaguar, a bulldozer-based AMD part intended for tablets.
Yeah.
Here's the problem with the Xbox One. I don't know what CPU they're using.
I think I was reading somewhere, and I read this a while back, they're using a similar CPU, again, also designed for tablets.
They were all rumors, though.
There's nothing...
I've found equal numbers of rumors saying that it's Jaguar. I've heard all the rumors saying it was Zen. But there is one thing I know all too well when they're not giving you the details on the processor. They're going to do everything in their power to make it seem as good as possible. So, let's talk about the build I did. Because of course I did a build.
Okay. Of course you did a build.
Of course I did. So I'm going to give Xbox the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to assume that it is a Ryzen part.
That would be a logical assumption to make.
More than likely, I would assume it would be a Ryzen 3 part. The main reason being is that the lowest end Ryzen 5 is 3.2 gigahertz, which is higher than the Xbox One. But this same part is a quad-core part with 8 threads, which will give you your 4 cores. They just omit the word virtual. I'm willing to bet that's what it's going to be. And it wouldn't surprise me in the least. You still look at that and go, okay, 4 Ryzen cores at 2.3 gigahertz, that could perform. That's going to perform better than the Jaguar did, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah. No, it's an actual processor under the hood, not this thing that's kind of pretending to be a processor.
Alright, so I got a BioStar AM4 motherboard, mini ITX, so it can fit in a small form factor. The GPU I picked.
Okay.
The only detail they give that Project Scorpio gives about the GPU is that it's a 6. My brain now can't think of the word. Teraflops, 6 teraflops GPU. That's all they say about the performance. All right, the closest I could get to that is the AMD Radeon RX 580 at 6.17 teraflops, according to GameSpot. If I wanted to get under, I would either be going to the RX 480 at 5.8 or the RX 570 at 5.1. So I went to the RX 580 at 6.17. So it's a better GPU than what's in there. The CPU, the CPU is also going to be better because it's 4 cores at 3.2 gigahertz. Games love having higher clock speed, fewer cores. Most of the time, the moment you give them more cores, they just don't comprehend what more cores means.
This is something that I've noticed to be very true about my octa-core workstation. They don't seem to register the second processor; it just kind of sits there. Although Windows goes, oh, well, I'm just going to move all of my shit over to the second processor and let the game have the other core.
All right, so I just realized the RAM went in my shopping cart, not the wish list. All right, and then I got a 500 watt power supply. That's more than enough to power the Ryzen processor and the RX 580. We're using a cheap $50 Cooler Master Cube, 1 terabyte hard drive at 7200 RPM, and 8 gigs of RAM. 8 gigs of RAM for the system. The GPU is 4 gigs. That gives us our 12 gigs. The memory bandwidth is not going to be the same. It's going to be lower.
But then again, then the memory bandwidth means absolutely nothing.
It pretty much. It's gonna be the same. Although I swear, if console fans start trying to rub in memory bandwidth into everyone's faces, I might have to slap people. This is like
I think you might want to get your pimp glove ready, because they're going to.
It is literally the dumbest number to go rave about. Alright, so after all these parts, what does the price come to?
Well, it's not going to be the $500 that the Xbox One X retails for.
It's not.
I would expect it to be closer
to what I just said.
600 and some odd.
$681.74. So just shy of $700.
That's, yeah, for a console that's pretty far up there. For a desktop, that's pretty low end, and for the specs you've dragged up, it's actually a reasonable machine.
Yeah, so I mean, there you go. Here's an El Cheapo's build for a budget gaming rig. But it also does prove that, for the hardware, not that bad. Not that bad on the Xbox part. Now, of course, there's no OS on Just Banana. Because we're just looking at the hardware-to-hardware comparison. The Xbox doesn't pay anyone for its own software.
Yep. And that's where the price will probably go up to around $800 is when you include a Windows 10 installation.
Oh, yeah. Unless you go SteamOS. To just complete the experience of building your own console. Then you're free.
Yeah.
I'm still getting my glove ready.
Yeah, get your glove ready. I wasn't thinking the gauntlet glove. I was thinking the classic white glove that you just kind of pull off your fingers like one at a time, and then go.
I don't have any of those. I instead have these massive leather, almost up to my elbow gauntlets that Darth Vader would use to choke someone. That's all I've got.
Yeah.
It would have to do.
Well, don't you have gloves like that at work? The white gloves for the heavy chemical cleanings?
No, just a leather one, or not leather. Some like rubber compound thing.
Okay, well, I guess one of those would work.
Now, here's actually back to the matter. Here's one detail I wanted to point out. When I went, the reason I had to build this thing in the wish list as opposed to a shopping cart, the Radeon graphic card is out of stock. And you think like, oh, that's no big deal. What does that mean? Have you looked up the price of AMD cards lately?
Not recently.
Let me do that real quickly for you. It is rather fascinating. Let's look up the other 580s, the ones that are actually in stock. And I'm going to sort this by lowest price. MSI Radeon RX 580 originally goes for $230. That's the standard rate. Now it is going for $720.
Wow! Why did it shoot up in price?
Well, let's go back in time. When was the only other time we've ever seen this happen? That we've seen only AMD cards go into low supply, and the ones that are in supply shoot up 100 to 200% markup to what their MSRP is.
And I actually can't think of a time that they did that. There probably is, I just can't think of it.
Bitcoin mining.
Oh, right. And I've been seeing that some of these AMD and NVIDIA cards are being prepped for just Bitcoin mining.
Yep. Cryptocurrency mining is back. Not for Bitcoin mining, mind you. Bitcoin mining currently is still basically unprofitable. You're going to spend more in electricity even if you live in China where electricity is dirt cheap. You're going to lose money then there either. Even if you're using ASICs, really.
All right, so which is the currency that is favored that these cards seem to excel at?
It is a currency that is actually shooting up very quickly in price called Ethereum.
Right. Why does that sound like something I would hear out of like a Final Fantasy game?
Doesn't it?
It totally does.
Ethereum currently, as of the time of this recording for this podcast, is at the moment $364.93 per coin. It is a relatively new currency. The hash mark is very similar to Bitcoin. It is estimated you could, even if you went and bought an AMD card right now at the outrageous 200% markup, you could pay off that card in 2 months as long as the price doesn't shoot off like a cliff, take a dip.
Yeah, that's the problem with cryptocurrencies, is that there's really nothing to back the currency.
Exactly.
So again, I've always been kind of cautious with cryptocurrencies because there's nothing backing it. The only value perceived in the currency, the U.S. monetary value perceived in the currency, is literally what is perceived to be in the currency.
Yeah. It's really only a miracle that another currency is actually even getting close to the same value that Bitcoin had. I mean, 364, like 4 years ago, was considered extremely well for a cryptocurrency. Most people expected cryptocurrencies to get close to like $10 per, or maybe $1 per.
Mm-hmm.
364,
yeah.
That's insane. And that's not even close to what Bitcoin is now, which is getting close to $2,700 a coin.
Yeah.
What more do you say?
The other thing I would be curious about Ethereum is how digitally secure is it as a currency?
I'd say about as secure as Bitcoin was. The only thing is that you gotta make... Hopefully, the banks that help with Ethereum are learn from what happened with Bitcoin.
Especially, I think it was like Mount Gox.
Mount Gox, that's what it was. Yep, the one
that
crashed.
caused the currency. Yeah, that caused the currency to just fall right down.
I know. Since then, I stopped even paying attention to the Bitcoin mining, and then just all of a sudden this year, it's just been insane. So yeah, AMD fanboys. You all know that I've always been kind of against fanboys of any kind who want to avoid reality in favor of their brand loyalty. I feel for you right now. I do feel for you. Because, I mean, the cards are in super short supply. The ones you're getting, it's at such a markup it's not even worth it. And it also is actually going to hurt AMD in the long run, because AMD is trying to push FreeSync as the technology that helps monitors and GPUs communicate better, which, in the grand scheme of things, is probably better to be supported than G-Sync. But now there's going to be fewer GPUs that support FreeSync, because all those cards are going to be used as just secondary processors to mine cryptocurrency.
What would probably end up happening with FreeSync is that with no support for it, and AMD unable to deliver the actual hardware, I would expect that developers would start moving towards G-Sync.
It's quite possible. Though right now, it's kind of in a healthy area because a lot of companies, whenever they develop a FreeSync monitor, they also develop a G-Sync and vice versa.
Yeah.
So there's going to be one option of each.
I would expect that the two monitors... I mean, the software is probably similar enough that a manufacturer could easily develop for both of them without a problem.
Yeah. But it's going to be torture on those GPUs. I remember when I dabbled in it a little bit, man, it stresses the GPU. Nowhere near as badly, though, as stressing a super high-end GPU to power Dell's 8K UP32 18K display.
Looks like that card got a little toasty.
Yeah. Now it's nowhere near as bad as it is in the picture. The picture shows a graphic card that has smoke damage clearly coming off the connector. That was that was a card that they had in a defective motherboard, but they felt it was going to be a good effect.
Yeah, no, that looks like capacitor smoke off damage. The card itself doesn't look harmed.
Yeah. Though, if you didn't know, Apple wants to stress that they have best in industry displays. Dell actually does. Not only do they have monitors that matches what Apple has in their iMacs, but they do in fact have an 8K version of that too. The only problem with the 8K display is that currently, right now, there is not a GPU alive that can utilize 8K.
That can power that display efficiently.
Yeah. It can handle Microsoft Word in 8K.
Yeah, except for Microsoft Word in 8K, what are you doing? What are you doing? Stop that.
Bragging that I can run something in 8K?
Sure. I'd buy it more if you said, oh, I can run Solitaire at 8K, and even then I'm going to look at you and go, stop that.
Dude, I can run Minesweeper in 8K.
Imagine the board that could be generated in 8K Minesweeper.
Oh no, I just run Adventure. That silly little thing. But
yeah, have fun with that.
They had a single GTX 1080 Ti that crashed over and over and over again trying to play Last Light and GTA 5 in 8K. It just couldn't do it.
Yep. Now, it's probably going to be about a year, and then we're going to see graphics cards that could drive an 8K monitor.
I'm going to say 2.
Yeah, okay, you're saying 2. All right, fair enough. Now, I'm going to also point out why and when did we need 8K monitors?
Oh, we're still struggling to figure out why we need 4K.
Yeah, so why? I mean, is the screen space... Is your... I really cannot fathom why those 4K and 8K exist. I mean, I can just kind of understand 4K, but no, beyond that, I just don't get it.
I mean, 4K came out as a standard that was just overkill compared to 1080p. Something to just blow you away with how good it looked. And in fact, 4K on even 27 inches reaches the point of being what Apple calls a Retina display. Then the only reason I like that buzzword that Apple uses is because it fits pretty much why there's no reason to go beyond that. The dots are so small, your human eye cannot physically see them. Unless you go directly up to it and have your eyeball...
And even then you're going to have a hard time... Yeah, and even then you're going to have a hard time determining them, unless you have like all of them black but one turned down to white, you'd see it. You'd still need a magnifying glass to see it.
Yeah. No, the 8K display is just kind of a little overkill. Plus, I'm getting really sick of saying 4K and 8K when the wide resolution doesn't even fit 4,000 or 8,000. I mean, the 8K resolution is 7,680 by 4,000 by 4320.
Yeah. Why? Why did we need that much screen real estate? Considering, like, I can't even justify it for image production because you're just going to be looking at so much wasted space.
Oh, you can always enlarge it. Microsoft has great scaling that pisses off people who can't stand little blue pixels around
the text. But no, it's for like, okay, video editing. You're not going to see any benefit from a bigger display because you're not going to see your preview really until you're not going to see the video until it renders.
Yeah.
At which point 8K is just showing you a bigger picture.
All right, real quick. Who won E3?
From what I've been reading, Nintendo won E3.
Really? Nintendo? That's kind of an odd
was reading a lot of hype coming out of Nintendo's corner, but then that's also just kind of me going, oh, what's this? Oh, headline. Move on.
I watched every year, everyone looks at all the press conferences, and usually when they pick a winner of E3, they pick out of the big three: Sony, Nintendo, and Microsoft. And some people want to say, like, oh, Bethesda or Ubisoft, is whatever. They're only going to announce games. They're only going to announce games that are probably never going to come out.
Probably. That's the one.
I judge by who is coming out with content that is going to be here soon.
Okay.
For the most part, I mean, Sony didn't do anything. Sony didn't even show some of the big stuff that's going to be their exclusives, which is mostly Squares. None of it was even shown. I mean, Sony had such a nothing burger; they easily hit last place for me out of the big three. Nintendo, they showed some signs of life. They announced 2 new Metroids. That's great and all, but there's no real hope that a lot of the major issues of the Switch, which is now their flagship console, are being fixed. No hope of that. We're still showing signs that we're going to keep the 3DS line going for I don't know why. So, I mean, they got second. Microsoft, to me, won, if only because they actually showed effort. They actually showed stuff that's going to be coming out later in the year.
Yeah, they actually have hardware coming out. They have, I'd assume, a good load of games coming out, too.
They have hardware coming out. They're having software coming out. The other thing I want to talk about is the fact of where Mixer is going. One of the things that was kind of not talked about, but still kind of talked about, was how many Xbox exclusive games featured, quote, Mixer integration.
Okay.
One of the things that Beam, now Mixer, had going for it was the fact that people could watch, build up currency, and use that to affect the game. Now, unfortunately, none of these games said what the integration was going to be, which kind of has me a little concerned. Oops, sorry there. On top
Okay,
of
so
on top of all that, Microsoft also announced that there's going to be an Xbox emulation program for the Xbox One ecosystem, as well as Windows.
okay, so they're going to emulate the Xbox One,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't hear the last bit, in Windows?
Yes. You can get games for the original Xbox on the Xbox One and on Windows.
Okay.
Now, this sounds, at first, very strange, very confusing, and kind of cool.
That is actually very cool. Will it means I go and get an Xbox One X? No. But it means that I can now enjoy some of the games that were available on the Xbox One that I never got to play because I didn't have the hardware.
Now, when you say on the Xbox One, you mean the original Xbox. You see how confusing it is, Microsoft?
Yeah, no kidding. And not the original Xbox, which I'm just going to call Xbox. Because Microsoft can't count. Microsoft cannot count at all.
No, they can't. It's 361. Wait.
Yeah.
So, no.
Well, actually,
It's
mathematically
Xbox.
that worked, but...
Shut up. It's only emulation of the original Xbox that's coming to Windows.
Oh, jeez. That's...
So you can go play original Halo or Halo 2 on your Windows, as well as playing those on your Xbox One. I'm hard-pressed for
Okay.
any other titles off the top of my head for
The thing
OG
is,
Xbox.
the original Halo 1 and Halo 2 were available on PC from the get-go. So
Yes.
it just kind of defeats your example there, but there are other titles that were available on the Xbox OG that didn't come out, but honestly, some of those games are probably really in dire need of updating.
I want to talk about for a minute how this is easily, hands down, the easiest emulation project in the history of emulation.
Well, let's see. The original Xbox used a P3-based Celeron running at 733 megahertz with 64 megabytes of RAM and an NVIDIA 7600 GTX.
Yeah.
I think this is such a quick joke.
You're emulating an x86 computer on an x86 computer. Now, you might be going, what? You mean on the Windows or on the Xbox One? To which I say either. They're
Either,
both
yeah.
x86.
They're all x86 64 now, with the exception of Nintendo, which is running off of ARM because, well, ARM on tablet.
Well, Nintendo's using ARM, mobile's using ARM, and PC is using
x86 64.
I was going to say diamonds.
Sure.
Your computer is now diamonds, by the way. Open it
My
up.
computer's now diamonds, okay.
Your computer's now diamonds.
Alright. I'll
So,
take
yeah.
that.
There's that. So, I mean, okay. We knew Project Scorpio was going to be announced at E3. We knew, and Xbox OG emulation was pretty much like one of the only surprises, other than Nintendo releasing 2 Metroid games. That was also kind of a surprise.
Yep.
You know what was actually a big surprise to me?
Oh, what was it?
Alienware making monitors.
Alright.
This seemed like the biggest no-brainer. I wonder what took Alienware so long. I mean, Dell makes monitors. Dell makes overkill monitors.
Yeah, no, I seriously want to get my hands on some Ultra Sharps, but I'm looking at their price tags going, holy shit.
Yep. So, Alienware now has two 240 hertz gaming monitors. One is G-Sync, the other is FreeSync. The G-Sync monitor will be available at $699.99, while the FreeSync is going to be available for $499.99.
Yeah.
Which does make me wonder if that G-Sync chip really is worth $200. I know that's chip plus licensing, but come on.
Well, pretty much right now it's just the competing of two technologies. Eventually one will win out, and the loser, however reluctantly, will sort of eventually adopt the winning technology.
Do you know what's really sad?
Yeah.
It's actually better going with the G-Sync monitor just because of the Bitcoin tax that's on AMD GPUs right now.
Yeah, and remember that's what I said was probably that could do serious damage to the FreeSync was the lack of cards.
Yep. Oh yeah, by the way, Alienware is making keyboards again. That also got announced. We have one keyboard that's rubber domed, matte black, with the Alienware lights everywhere underneath. And yes, it finally happened. Alienware also finally caught the true RGB disease on their Elite keyboard.
And, okay, this one I'm not upset about because it's Alienware. Alienware always had some form of the RGB-itis. So the fact that it's now full, that's nothing new.
One of us, one of us, one of us. Yeah.
Now, my question about the Alienware keyboard, at least the premium with the RGB, is it mechanical and how good are the switches to type on?
I do not believe it's mechanical. The main reason I say it's not mechanical is because they do not advertise that it's mechanical.
Then it's probably not mechanical.
Yeah.
It can probably be it's probably going to be a very high quality rubber dome. And I've typed on a few high quality rubber domes and they feel nice.
Yeah. The stock Dell keyboards, actually, I have one right here, one of the cheap, like, $10 ones they give free with a computer back in, I want to say this one was 2006. This one actually feels real nice.
My favorite Dell keyboard to type on happens to be this thing.
That is, alright. That is a wireless Dell keyboard, I want to say back in 2003, 2004.
Yes.
I want to say it was when that was made.
And, yeah, I also have the Magic Mouse with it. This thing, it sounds like it's a mechanical. It actually clacks like it's a mechanical. It's not. It's a rubber dome. It's just a very high quality rubber dome.
Yeah, it's the same with the one I've got here, but it lost the volume knob.
Yeah. I have one of those cheap Dells from at work, and I hate typing on it because it's rubber dome and it's mushy.
It's one of the ones that are more narrow, right?
Yep.
Yep. So, you know what else caught RGB?
Okay. Don't tell me AMD is falling. Well, AMD already fell for the RGB-itis.
AMD. Well, actually, AMD is more going into something that already caught the
RGB-itis.
Alienware has now announced that there are going to be two versions of its super high-end, cost too much Area 51 PC. These are the super high-end, top-tier desktops that Alienware makes. The only computer that Alienware is actually taking pride in and stuffing to the brim with power.
The thing looks ridiculous, but anyways.
I both love and hate that design.
Yeah.
I definitely have a love-hate. I mean, I like it. It's very unique. It looks great on the outside. You get inside and look how they like laid out a bunch of stuff, like the hard drives and stuff. It makes you want to go find someone and punch them. It's just like randomly sprayed in there. But any case, there is going to be a version of the Area 51 that's going to run Threadripper. That's AMD's top tier CPU. In addition to
all right, no surprise there.
In addition to the Area, actually the one that isn't a surprise, the fact there's going to be an Area 51 that's going to run the Intel X series.
Okay.
So it is finally happening. Dell is finally allowing their computers to have AMD again.
And I'd say it's about time.
Right?
AMD has finally proven that yes, they can build a processor again. It's just taken them a long time to do it.
Yep. Now the only downside with these things, and unfortunately all we have are 3D renders right now. We don't have the actual guts yet. It does look like both the Intel X series and the AMD Threadripper series are both only going to have 4 RAM slots.
Okay.
Which, I'm not going to lie, for 2 CPUs that are built on quad channel, it's a little disappointing. Come on, buddy. I know you can do better.
Well, a lot of us can do better if we really tried.
I could too. I can't. I'm giving you my all right now. So yeah, after all these announcements, I did go through Alienware's site just to see, okay, what do we got? So we now do have Alienware branded monitors. They are not available to buy yet.
Of course.
The keyboards you can buy yet. There are also Alienware mice that apparently released at some point.
Right.
We have one that is adjustable at $90 and one that is unadjustable at $50. Both of them have RGB-itis and that tri-line pattern that Alienware has loved for the last few years.
Well, it happens to be whatever they have to make them happy. I'm not giving up my trusty Logitech trackball.
You will submit to the RGB disease and give up the trackball.
No.
One of us.
If they make an RGB trackball, I'll think about it.
You heard it. That's how
Actually,
you get. That's how you get. That's how you get them in there. So, in any case, I did do a bit of research to see how up to date Alienware's lineup is. The laptops are all behind. They are not up to the newest CPUs yet. I'm willing to bet they're probably waiting for Volta to come out. Or for AMD to be able to produce GPUs again. Which, good luck.
Which might take them a bit.
It's going to take them a bit,
Yeah.
yes.
Is it?
Here's what we got on the desktop lineup. The Alpha is terribly behind.
Yeah.
Don't even bother touching this. We're still on the GTX 960 being the top tier GPU that could be in there. You're an entire generation behind on the GPU. CPU is... Bottom line is 4th gen, then 6th gen, then 6th gen, then 6th gen. Don't even bother. The Aurora, on the other hand, they don't actually say on the main page for it. If you look deeper, you will find it is all 7th generation. They are a generation behind. We're on 8th gen. Wait. Yeah. We're on 8th gen. We're on Kaby Lake. So that's a little So that's behind. And Area 51 is behind currently. That's going to be changing down the road. So, if you were curious about an Alienware machine, and you could afford it, don't yet. Just don't. That is your current update. Don't.
Don't. It's a bad end.
I'll tell you what's a hilarious end, though. The possibilities of combining wireless charging with a wireless mouse.
That's actually a good use of a wireless charging pad on a wireless mouse. Brilliant!
This is absolutely fascinating. I've seen something like this before, but not like this. Here's what it is. You have a wireless mouse. And then you have this mouse pad that connects to the computer via USB. The mouse pad then gives off the wireless signal for the mouse to connect to. And then you can use the mouse on the mouse pad, and it charges it at the same time while you're using it. And you can just take the mouse off, lift it, and just use it wherever. I can't do it with this one. This one's wired. I think that is incredibly neat.
It is, and trackball variant. Oh wait, trackball would never move from the pad. So
yeah, why would you even bother? First off, you do realize you're one of the last 4 people that use the trackball, right?
Yes, and I actually did look up to see if there is an RGB trackball. There is not.
Come on, get on it, Logitech. We know you're the only company left that makes trackballs.
I know.
You're the only one left. But yeah, this one is the Logitech G Power Play. If you were curious, it's a very.
Yeah. And actually, I just got a message from one of my friends. He also uses a trackball.
Ooh, we found half the people who use trackballs. Yeah.
Actually,
you realize in like 10 years, everyone is going to be just like Yuxi in the chat here, who's asking, "What the frig is a trackball?"
That I'm holding it up.
It is an old style of mouse in which instead of the ball being on the bottom of it, the ball was on the top, and you use your thumb to move the ball around to move the cursor.
They are actually still very much preferred in professional production environments. That's where I've actually seen most of them. It's just you don't find them for gaming because a lot of people find the trackball a very awkward thing to use for games.
We have also now found that NES in the chat is the third out of 4 people to use a trackball. We have found 3/4 of the people who use trackballs on the entire planet.
Actually, it's actually still half, because Ananias is my friend who messaged me.
Oh, okay. We have half.
We still have half.
We still have half. Alright. The remaining 2 are a mystery. I am willing to bet one of them is pretty close to no longer being among us in this world. That is going to do it for us here on Eagle Eyes on Tech. Any last words for us, Regret?
No, other than, well, just get your air conditioners in.
Or get a portable one. Honestly, the fact that this tower here I can take from room to room has been beautiful. You can find me streaming at twitch.tv/eagle_falcon. You can find Regret the Van at twitch.tv/regret_the_van. Take care, everyone. Rest well. Stay cool. We'll see you next week with probably our laptop guide for back to school.
Really? Didn't school just get out?